Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
The UFC welterweight title fight recently transpired between Belal Muhammad and Leon Edwards. Belal Muhammad, phenomenal performance.
Yep.
It is a performance of a lifetime. You know, people talk shit about it. I'm like, what, dude? He just shut down Leon Edwards, the dude that looked unstoppable. People were talking about comparing him to GSP and all that, and Belal goes in there and kind of embarrasses him in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because they were talking mad shit. Leon was kind of like, you know, people were saying like, oh, he's overlooking him, you know, and maybe he did. I don't know. In fighting, I don't really see many guys overlooking other guys, especially at that level.
Right. It's like you spend several weeks like prepping for one person. It's like how much are you gonna overlook that one person? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
probably like dot your I's, cross your T's and stuff in the fight camp anyway.
You have
like,
to, right?
Yeah.
And I guess he brought in like a sleep specialist so he can get used to like fighting at 5 a.m. The fight was at 5 a.m.
That's right.
in the
Yep.
morning, right?
Right.
So like none of that worked because he never could get started.
Right.
Once Belal got that first take, because he went for the takedown in like the first 30 seconds, got the takedown easy.
Right.
Once that happened, I think Leon was like, what the fuck, like, and then it opened up the striking, and then Belal was outstriking
Yeah.
Leon.
Right, the threat of the takedown now. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now this is very real. I got to be mindful of this. And then, yeah. And then now you're not reacting to strikes as quickly because you're watching the takedown threats.
And his defense changed up too. But we're not here to talk about the whole fight. We're here to
Right.
talk about the takedowns, right? Because he did the high crotch.
Yep, high crotch, lift, and then...
Should that be illegal though?
I personally don't think so. Like, if in that specific instance, I would think the right... I don't think doing absolutely nothing is also the wrong call, but it's just like, pause it for a second. It's like if someone gets kicked in the nuts almost, it's like, okay, take a moment, right? Like, make sure you're all right, and then continue. But I don't think there was a need for, like, let's say, stopping the fight or point deduction or anything like that. Because the way I looked at the lift, I wanted to make sure, right? So as he lifted him up, he actually let go of the grip, let Leon fall down. He didn't like slam or put any extra downward force on the drop, right? He switched his grip even to the body. I forget where the right arm was. It might have gone like under the armpit or something just to like cover from like top turtle or tripod. And so in that case, I wouldn't even qualify it as a slam. It was just gravity, you know, like letting gravity drop Leon. And then one of Leon's hands planted on the ground. The other one was kind of like draped around the lat. So
Yeah.
if he's going down at that angle, I would say it's on the person who's falling to be like, look, you've got your hands there, use them, put them out, right? And if the force is too much in that direction, you do have to consider like a break fall or going like hand, forearm, maybe a shoulder roll or something. But I don't necessarily think Belal should be penalized for that move.
Well, when you look at the sequence, right, of it happening, he did the high crotch, lifted him, and when you lift somebody, you're not responsible for how they land.
Right,
That's the way I look at it, because it's not like he spiked him,
right.
and they're talking about it's spiking. It's like, no, he landed on his head.
Yeah, he had both his hands to like
Yeah.
post out and like do damage control on the landing. Because there's a slippery slope if like every time someone lands on their head, you foul the other person. Because then, you can wait for, like tactically, you'll start getting people who intentionally like, oh, this could potentially be interpreted as a slam, which it's going to go my way if I just don't protect myself and take a head fall. Like, land on my own head and not protect myself at all, right? So like, but for me, yeah, I guess it goes back into the responsibility of protecting yourself at all times is kind of how I look at that one.
I don't think that that particular move, like where you high crotch somebody, if you can do, you can barely ever see high crotches.
Yeah, it's
executed.
very uncommon.
Very uncommon. And Bilal's grappling was just phenomenal, right? Because everybody was all like, yeah, Leon's takedown defense is really good and all this stuff. And it's
Right.
like, he made it look like non existent. And this move, like, once you lift somebody, and they fall, they're not unconscious. They know what's happening.
Right.
They train these things. They're doing wrestling, right? So you're taught how to land,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Or base or whatever you want to do it,
Right.
right? And it was Leon's fault more than anything. He just put one hand down. He could actually rolled through it rather than landed on his head, right?
Right.
Because there's a way you could shoulder roll
Yeah.
into it, right?
Yeah, in a lot of cases, I mean, this gets like a little bit more niche, like technique, I understand, but at at the angle that he was falling, like safest thing you could argue is like, look, if you're landing at that angle, like go ahead and do a forward roll or something. Like that'll take the impact off of your head immediately. But then there's like other ways to counter it. If you want to initiate like counter techniques, if you got the hand on the lat already, you can attempt the cartwheel to like at least, if you miss the cartwheel, you at least fall on your side, right? Like now you're not landing on your head. So there's things that I feel like Leon could have done either defensively or as safety precautions going on the way down that would have prevented him from hitting his own head in that instant.
Yeah, he also executed the same move later in the fight, and Leon planted both hands.
Exactly.
And it prevented it, right?
Right.
So that shows you that it should not be that move should not. But if you're spiking somebody is a completely different definition.
Right.
It's like you're actually putting force into
Yeah.
slamming them on their head.
Right.
Okay, let's give you an example of a time where a girl, Rose Namajunas.
Yep.
She got slammed on her head, lost her title,
Mm-hmm.
got knocked out. Jessica Andrade slammed her on her head. She was
Right.
like caught in an arm bar or something.
Yeah, I think what was it?
But she was just slamming her.
Yeah, I
like,
think
he didn't mean her to slam her on there. It just happened.
Yeah, Rose had like a Kimura grip or something too.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm saying. Yeah, she
Right.
tried to defend with the Kimura grip. That's right.
Right,
And
right.
then
and
just-
so like, oh, now my hands are occupied on this submission
Yeah.
attempt, and I don't have anything to break my own fall. So like, that's
Yeah, that's more of Rose's fault because that's what people were saying. Like she should just let it go.
yeah,
And just landed properly, but she didn't. She kept on the Kimura grip, and in those situations, that situation as well, it was the defenders,
yeah,
like
Right.
their responsibility to defend themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But they didn't, and now we go to one championship.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Brooks, in his last title fight, he lost his belt
Oh, right.
in the same situation, and their rules are like there's no spiking, there's no even intentional or unintentional. It seems like because once he slammed Joshua Pascio to the ground and started pounding him out, they considered that. It was very similar to like the Rose thing, right? It wasn't even like similar to Leon and Belal, and he lost his belt.
Right.
And the rules state that there's no spiking, there's no suplexes as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Isn't that? What do you think of that? Like,
I personally don't agree with that call. It's like, right? So, because then you run into instances where, like I know this wasn't exactly how it happened in that fight, but like there's certain people where, I think I had this argument with someone like recently where it's, like let's say you try to jump guard or like you try like a triangle or something and you're volunteering to put yourself airborne, so to speak, right? Like especially with some of those submissions. Even a guillotine, for example. If you try to jump a guillotine on someone and you end up airborne and they're carrying you, it's like, whose responsibility is it that you're going to land safely? It's like you volunteered to be up there, right? It's like, so if you land, it should be your responsibility to look out for your landing to some extent. I don't necessarily think, I don't think it's a great idea either to slam your way out of a submission. Like, that's controversial itself. Like, that's an entirely different thing. But if you elect to put yourself in the air, or while you're in the air, you're still going for certain things with the understanding that your opponent is going to put you down safely, I think there is some weird disconnect with that. So, like, I personally don't like that call.
yeah, it's the person that is defending responsibility.
Yeah.
There were some crazy comments, right? Like people, like just on social media. Let me read some of these. One of the comments was like, illegal. Belal should have been disqualified. That's
Yeah,
like,
that's
people
extreme.
just don't know about fighting, right?
Right.
Illegal then strikes him twice in the back of the head. Someone else wrote, he wasn't spiked. The drop had an arc. Spiking is straight down and is illegal.
I mean, that is true too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, unless you like straight up jackhammer somebody, like spear somebody from like head, like
Like
straight.
DDT, you know
Yeah, like
DDT.
like straight line, right? Like from head to spine to ass. If it's like perfectly
Yeah.
vertical and perpendicular to the ground, yes, highly harmful. Like I've only seen that once maybe, and like yeah, the dude got paralyzed, right? So like that was different. But like that was a that dude's arm like was stuck too. So the way they had it, it was like a high crotch lift, but instead of just the grip on the leg, they gripped one of the arms too. So this guy in question could not actually post with both arms. So like highly dangerous, and that landed straight down into the ground like head first. So like that was an instance where I was like, that was blatantly a slam, should be illegal. That's life threatening. Like don't do that. But in a lot of these other cases, I think people are just, I think out of just fear of the position or lack of understanding of it, that makes it that makes it so controversial. Where it's like, oh, I don't want to fall like that, kind of thing.
Bilal, man, he's hated by so many people that no matter what
Yeah,
he
that fight didn't
does,
do him any favors,
no.
unfortunately. But yeah, he put on a good performance.
Dude, it was one of the best and worst performances. Worst by Leon Edwards as a champion, one of the worst performances you've
Right.
seen,
Yeah.
and one of the best performances from a challenger without getting a finish. You know what I mean? Leon had his moments. He took the back and
Yeah.
like I think he won maybe one round.
Yeah, because as soon as your tweet went up, Leon took his
Yeah.
back, and I was like, hey, that's what's up.
They put it up there for a while too,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah.
had it on there for a few. I was just like, and then it was like right when that tweet was up there, and it was just like I was like, I forgot that said Bilal.
Yeah, Belal.
It was
Yeah,
like,
Belal's putting on like a great performance, something
Yeah,
like that. I
yeah.
remember I looked at the tweet. I like got on my phone to message you. I looked up and like Leon had
Yeah.
Belal's back for some reason. That was great. That was great.
I've had those moments before with the tweets
Oh, I'm
where I'm like,
sure.
yeah, what's his name's looking phenomenal. Like he's gonna get a knockout, then they get knocked out.
Hey.
And I've had moments where like, oh, these two dudes are banging it out, man. Someone's gonna get clipped, and right when they put up the tweet, someone gets clipped and knocked out in the
Hey.
fight. I'm just like, it's been years of tweets, right? So I don't remember exactly how many tweets have
Yeah.
gone up, but there's some moments where it's just like you put it up, and
Yeah.
sometimes I write some ridiculous shit and they put it up there, and it's just funny to me. Like people get mad too,
I'm sure.
People get angry.
Yeah, it's
They're
like the
just
Drake curse, but now there's the Korean John curse.
Yeah, yeah, but Bilal won, man. He was putting on he was putting on the performance of a
He did.
lifetime.
He did.
You know?
Yeah,
He
you got
continued.
the correct end result out of that tweet. Yeah.
Because right when it went up and I was watching it, because I wasn't really tweeting that much during the event, and I was just like, all right, let me just tweet some stuff out for the main,
Yeah.
and then Bilal just like he was like surprising me through the first two rounds, right? I was like, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And then when the third round came, and then I think that's when Leon won the round. Is the third round.
Yep,
That was
yep.
a clear Leon round, right? And then Bilal came back. Just boom, boom. Dude, his cardio is insane. Like he has cardio like I don't know. It's hard to compare, man, because he has a hectic style.
Yeah,
right.
right,
And to
right.
continue that with wrestling as well, because you even see wrestlers sometimes they'll wrestle the first round and they're tired already.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you're a wrestler.
Right, like those exchanges, you have to be very energy efficient. Where it's like just because you're good at taking people down doesn't mean you should spend all that time like being underneath them or even in like or even pressuring them against the fence. Because those positions do take a lot of energy, and I think people saw that in Islam when Islam fought Dustin Poirier, where like the rounds were going long. Yeah, like Islam did have advantage in a lot of those wrestling exchanges, especially it was like Dustin's back was against the fence. But in the attempt to take Dustin down on the fence, he burned a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And then you saw like him really get into deep waters in round 4 and round 5, where he had to pull something out of his back pocket that he normally didn't do, and then jump to like I think it was like a Darce choke, like strangle or something. But the point is, even if you are good at wrestling, you have to be energy efficient, and you cannot just wrestle for the sake of wrestling in the fight. Like you have to be smart about using wrestling as the tool to get you into a position where you have advantage and you can inflict damage on them. It's like it's is supposed to take you to this destination, but it's not supposed to be like the entire thing in itself.
Yeah. But, a couple things very clear. that fans don't know the rules.
Right.
A lot of fighters don't know the rules,
100%.
and referees are terrible at executing the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
And judges are shitty at making decisions.
Yeah, I remember cornering people that, like, the referee could, tell them don't do this, don't do that. 2 minutes into the fight.
They're doing it.
Yep. So I'm like, boy, I'm trying to fight for you here, but like, it's like I'm cornering you. Like, I'm gonna do what I can so that you can win this fight, but you are making it very difficult for me if you're breaking rules like that. So it's just like, God damn it.
They always say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And that is very, very true.
Oh man, yeah, in the fight game, I'm like, yeah, I'll be an asshole in the corner. Like, this guy's, this guy in the ring's like, he's the one taking damage, right? He's the one that, made all these sacrifices for his career. Like, he's fought his way, gave so much of his life to be up there doing his thing. It's like if I don't give that same energy in the corner to the extent that, like, I might get a warning from the referee or something, like, how hard am I really fighting for this guy, So, like, I do have that consideration in my back pocket, too. That it's okay to argue for some of these, like, subjective calls for your guy, Like, they at least deserve that out of the guy that's in their corner.
You think Conor comes back and fights Belal?
Damn, I don't know. That's
a great fight for Belal, dude.
Yeah. Like, matchups wise, like, Belal's, yeah.
Belal, he'd be the favorite.
Right.
Like, that grappling, dude, it's going to be hard to find somebody to beat him.
Yeah.
But the next guy that is going to face him, Shavkat, he might have the skill set to beat him, which, like, if Shavkat didn't exist,
right,
maybe we might see Belal. But Belal is kind of old right now, dude. I think he's like Belal? 34, 35.
Oh, okay.
So he's not young, dude. So he's got to fight.
Yeah, his days are numbered then. Yeah.
Very numbered.
Okay.
Your days are numbered, fool.